Sam, you probably watched some of the games on Saturday. What did that tell you about the Big 12, and does that maybe make y'all even more prepared for a possible upset?
I think it just shows what a competitive conference it is. Anyone can be beat on any day. So I heard Coach Rule say it a minute ago. You got to show up and play well. If you don't, you'll get beat in this conference.
2 years ago, playing West Virginia here, what do you remember about when Charlie came in and kind of gave you all that lift, and what was that game like?
It was pretty cool. That was Charlie's kind of first time getting some major playing time, and I think everyone who was there saw pretty early on what the kid's made of. So it's definitely inspiring for me to see, and it's kind of the beginning of his legacy. So 2 years later, they're back here, and hopefully we'll get it done this time. But I think just thinking back to that game, you kind of see what Charlie Brewer is really made of.
Sam, is last year's loss to West Virginia, is that motivation for you guys?
Yeah, but not in like a revenge sense. Any time we have a loss, it's motivating. So I do like to reflect every game I play. I like to reflect on the past year's game, like what happened last year, whether it was good or bad, and then where are we this year and what do we need to do. Obviously we look back at last year and it was pretty rough. They got after us pretty good. Then I look at this year and I think we're a much better team. I think we're going to be much better prepared. So I like where we are right now, and we'll keep getting better throughout the week.
Sam, what was the difference between the first half against Oklahoma State and then the second half? It just seemed like y'all played so much better as the game kind of got going.
Yeah, I think we started out. We started a few games out kind of slow this year. I think that one. I think maybe we're worrying a little too much. Is kind of the feeling I got, and Coach Rule kind of came in the locker room and said, look, don't, you guys don't have to worry about anything. Go play football. I think people were kind of being 6-0, I guess, at the time, and kind of the first time maybe we've had some success like that for a lot of guys on the team. And I think maybe that might have been on the guys' mind. So it was a good lesson to learn. I don't think we'll have that issue going forward. But once Coach Rule came in and said, we're worrying about too much, just go play football, and kind of saw what happened in the second half. So I think we learned that lesson, and hopefully something like that's behind us now.
Sam, from your perspective, like you said, y'all been kind of in all these different situations. You've been 0-7, you've been 7-0. Does that help in terms of, and then even going back to 15 when you were redshirting? I mean, you've seen it kind of on every level. Does that help you maybe, not take anything for granted, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think me personally, it does. A lot of the seniors who've kind of been around for a lot of years where we've been in, we've had some different situations. Been 6-0 before. We were 7-0 my very first year here, so I can see how, teams can keep something like that going, and the next year we started 6-0 and lost. So I've seen how teams can fall off. So I feel like I've got a pretty good perspective, and I've been, like you said, 0-7 before. So I think when you look back at each year, there's takeaways from each year. I think everything up to this point for the older guys on our team, it's kind of prepared us. I feel like we have a pretty good perspective on where we are right now and what we need to do.
Were you on any special teams?
I have not. I used to be on field goal. Not anymore. I'm ready to go whenever, though.
Is it cool to be on field goal?
I'm just on regular field goal protections. Yeah.
Is it cool now to be on a block and a special teams school, I should say that?
Yeah, I think it's it's a big part of our team. I heard Coach Rule saying a minute ago, what a big emphasis it is for our culture. And even this year we've made it so much bigger. The special teams meetings are basically team meetings now. We want everyone in there. We want everyone knowing what everyone's job is pretty much on all special teams. So, it's definitely cool. And it's cool to see it pay off too. Coach Saravo really coaches those guys up, and to see us, block a kick or a punt is just, for me, knowing the work that they put in, and to see it happen in the game is pretty cool.
Is it special to play on a Thursday night? You kind of only game in town, a lot of eyes on this game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it'll be a great atmosphere. Like you said, Thursday game, kind of one of the only teams playing probably Thursday night, and just Halloween, and just a good West Virginia team coming down. I think it'll be a great atmosphere.
Sam, what did you feel like y'all got done in the bye week?
I think a lot of people got healthy that were maybe banged up a little bit. Yesterday the feeling was kind of our first big practice, I guess you could say. big physical practice coming off the bye week, and everyone seemed like they were feeling pretty good. So that was probably the number one thing. But we did try and get ahead over the bye week, so I feel like we're pretty prepared. We'll have to take another step today.
Sam, you've had a couple of games with Casey on your left now.
Mhm.
How is that working, and just maybe the line as a whole with Xavier now at right guard?
I think Casey's gotten better each game he's played. It's kind of tough. Was kind of playing right tackle, and then he had to be moved on over to left tackle. So I think he's adjusting well. I think he's getting better. He's a young kid who hadn't really had a whole lot of experience that got thrown out there. But I think he's getting better each game. It's good to have Xavier out there, a guy with a lot of experience. So I think we took a step last game. We kind of ran the ball when we needed to run the ball at the end of the game. So we're just going to try and take another step this week and see where we are.
What is the biggest threat out of West Virginia that y'all are kind of hoping to focus on in practice this week?
Their defense is a little different. You don't see too many people doing what they're doing. They'll switch back and forth between 4 down, 3 down, kind of keeping the same personnel. So kind of IDing what they're in every play is probably going to be really big this week. So we're getting in the film room and trying to see if we can pick up on any tips or anything. But that's probably the biggest thing.
Are you the guy who makes the calls on the line that identifies where people are?
No. Jake Freemorgan, our center, kind of does that. I'd help out where I can. If I see something, I'll call it. But he's pretty much the guy making the calls.
Coach Rule said during the bye week a lot of the young guys got reps.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any young guys that have been kind of standing out to you that you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean a lot of guys have stood out, and it's good with this new redshirt rule. You kind of got to see some guys step up and do some things in games this year. Trying to think, there are some guys. I'm trying to think of a specific example from the bye week. I think Colby White was the guy who always, when we have a young guy scrimmage, he seems like he's the guy who's always making a play at wide receiver. I like watching Jacob Zeno too. He's kind of got some reps. There were a lot of times where the older guys got to watch the younger guys go at it. So I like watching Zeno get out there and kind of command the offense. It's usually Charlie or Gary at practice. So to kind of watch Zeno be the guy out there for a couple practices is pretty cool.